Greetings, friends, and welcome once again to the amazing show that you all know. We are on the Hollywood Backlot, which with somebody who actually knows what that looks like. Doesn't matter what studio. Lots of, the ability to describe everything that went on behind the scenes. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes now tonight. We have multiple stories to get through for the next hour. I hope you are all willing to stick with us. And a big shout out and thank you to a very early super duper chat from Ruby Hoof, making sure that we all have a wonderful evening. I would like to say that this is my great privilege and opportunity to share time with one of the people that I consider a friend who worked a little bit more inside the industry than I ever got a chance to. And so, without further ado, or any kind of do, I'll just say welcome to the great and powerful Lew Wasserman's Ghost. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Do what you did before. There you go.
I set you up. Hey, can you talk to us a little bit about the jukebox selection for tonight? Because I was like, this one's great. I was like, this is good stuff.
I had no idea he'd done this. I mean, for God's sakes, you think of Silvestri and you think of the Avengers and you think of all the big stuff. But he did Death Becomes Her, which is kind of not one of those kind of movies.
Oh,
but,
I don't know. It was kind of fun.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a fun movie, but it's a different side of his creativity. And I found it, and there it is. So if you want to see what he did when he wasn't dealing with Iron Man or all those other guys, then watch it. Listen to it.
Yeah. And look, I put it it's in the description below, along with Lew's Patreon, which look, if you're not following Lew on his Patreon and a part of that Patreon group, and I know it'll cost you a small sum of money, but it's worth it because for the price of a cup of coffee, you get a lot of insight that you're not going to get anywhere else. And a lot of understanding about what came before and what's going on now. So do check out Lew and his views over on his Patreon. Do you want to tell anybody else about what you do, sir?
Oh, no.
Okay.
If they don't know by now, I will say that yesterday was my birthday. And so if you forgot to get me a present, join the Patreon and you'll have been satisfied your obligation. There you go.
And I just want to say happy birthday again. I think I said it yesterday, but I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
No, and look, I love Lew in a way you guys don't understand. He has lived a very parallel life just a little earlier than I did in SoCal and everywhere else.
It's one of those time travel stories, by God.
It is. It is. You know, and look, I mean, we both understood a different side of what California is, specifically Southern California, for a long period of time. And of course, you know, I still have family in California. I still have people that own resorts and run other opportunities in California. So it's a different conversation. We got vineyards in California. Cousins. Yeah.
They're still there, but otherwise everybody escaped one way or another.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is like everybody's telling me they're going to move and everybody seems to be moving like where I'm going. I'm like, whoa, you might be my neighbor when we get to Tennessee. I don't know. Maybe you'll be 20 minutes away. Maybe you'll be 5. Who knows?
Yeah, but most of them want to go to Nashville because it's so much like LA. No, thank you. It's a good place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They go there and they discover and they're like, wait a minute, I'm trying to get away from the bar side of town, and it's they want to be on the far side of town at best. So it's a different conversation. But look, I want to talk about what's happening in Hollywood now, and right now some bad things are happening in Hollywood. And well, I mean, let's be honest.
In Tinseltown, the land of dreams, bad things.
And believe it or not, it's not just because of consolidation. It comes down for the lack of need. So when Hollywood starts fall off, right? Specifically in California or anywhere. That means the overall number of starts, whether it be in film or television, is falling off, which means entertainment, it will be less prevalent. There will be less productions being made on both sides of that particular equation.
Well, and there's so many ways to measure that. I mean, you could measure the number of TV series starts, but then you'd have to say, but the average series now is what? 8 episodes, maybe.
And only for 2 seasons, which seems to be Netflix's maximum. And so we start to get into that conversation where we used to get 24, 26 episodes of a show, and it was a 1-hour show instead of a half-hour show, or even less, which seems to be the new norm. And they are planning, whether or not it's a streaming service or not, they're planning for commercials. And so it comes down to about 22 minutes of TV on a half an hour. Is that right? We're down 8 minutes.
More or less, yeah.
So it's changing. And with that comes the need for other various elements that come along naturally with this particular job. So let's talk about this. The layoffs that are occurring right now in Hollywood don't just stretch to the talent. It stretches to the agency. And so right now, and Lou, correct me if I'm
less talent, less people to represent, less need to representative.
Right. So. Yeah. And then there's the artificial talent that they're trying to manufacture that nobody's interested in. And so those people, while represented by the very best, or people that are presumed to be the very best, they're not getting these people jobs because there are no jobs to be had.
You know, it just occurred to me, that the title of the original story that Blade Runner was based on was called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?"
Yes.
We might say, does virtual talent have AI agents?
They do these days, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you told the story, and I'm not going to betray you, but this is something that actually happens in Hollywood where people don't realize that the agents have other people listening in on calls. And recently, I think, what's his name? Adam Sandler revealed in one of his recent podcast interviews that one of his talent agents had his girl Friday listening in on their conversations and making notes for obviously future conversations, et cetera, and to not miss anything, like to go ahead and do what they're promising to do and executing that in the background. So the fact that they're having massive layoffs right now at WME, do you want to tell everybody what WME is? Because I think some people don't realize where this started.
Is that William Morris's latest incarnation? Yes, of course. I don't know what the agency is, but it used to be WMA. And good old Bill Morris. Ah, yes, long ago. But this whole thing of listening in, if we're going to lay off the listener inners, that means the agents that are left will actually have to listen.
Right.
And they didn't take their own damn notes. So
and they didn't, and they gave horrible advice. And again, I'm going to attribute more of this to what Adam Sandler recently said to anything I've ever heard from you, and say agents largely are like just PR people. They listen and they redirect you so that you don't cause problems either for yourself or the studio. And while that used to work under the old studio system, you need somebody more engaged in that position now. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, yeah, because there's fewer spots, and therefore you have to hustle more to find one for your client. Because in theory, they only get paid when the star gets paid. Mm-hmm. But who's been a talent agent for 3 years? Oh my goodness!
But they're getting
5 years.
Look, I mean, layoffs are happening across the board, Lou, and that's the whole point. They laid off 30 people today, which is about 3% of the staff. That's across multiple offices, departments, et cetera. So they always say things like that to try to make it sound like, oh, well, we're massive and therefore this isn't that significant.
Traditionally there was the whole thing of people starting in the mailroom, but if everything is email, is there a room?
Well, wait a minute. There's still documents to be reviewed and signed and everything else. So, but I mean, in fact, there are a lot of people that insist on their scripts there are only so many copies. They're all watermarked. That way, you know who has it and who gave it out because they're a scumbag.
Well, and for those who don't know, when you're making a show and the script is getting rewritten, every level of rewrite has its own colored paper that it is printed on so that it replaces the previous one. And the dread phrase in the TV business is, oh my God, we're going to goldenrod, because that's about 7, 8, 9 rewrites down the way. So
at least.
Avoid goldenrod at all costs.
Well, and you know what? That's the same with memos inside of any corporation. We'll have a completely different conversation about that down the road, I'm sure. But you realize it's not just the agents that are getting hit with this. It's everything across all media. It doesn't matter if it's Hollywood.
And please remember, whether you're an agent or a grip or a craft service person or whatever, you've got a gardener, you've got a dog walker, you've got a pool guy, you've got a place you go for your dry cleaning, and all of them get hurt down the road when you're not working. So it ripples through. It's a company town, and everything is connected.
Yeah, and look, and this is the bigger part of this part of the conversation. Again, we're going to do what we normally do here and talk about all of Hollywood over the course of 5 stories. Our first one is done, but they're all interconnected, I believe. And this next one I want to present is something that, Lou, I think is going to be near and dear to your heart. Everybody's involved in being laid off right now. There's not one group that's being targeted. And the last story and this one are both going to be featured on the 6 Minute Daily tomorrow because it's that important. When we talk about, there's a list actually of Hollywood media layoffs. Whether it be Paramount, Warner Brothers Discovery, CNN, or anybody else, this is an active list tracking this. And of course, the story was published on the 18th, but these things took place already. So if you look at it, WME, we just talked about the 30 people being bailed after St. Paddy's Day. So happy holiday to you, working holiday or not. And that took care of 3% of the staff. Well, that's not... They present that as not a significant cut, but it's really across multiple levels. They're taking out, let's say, the bottom 5%. What do you think? Do you think that's an accurate statement, or is it the bottom 1%?
Sure. Well, I don't bottom top. It's a question of if we laid off the big guy and he had 3 assistants and 2 whatevers, then they don't have a job either. It's funny. We just on the genre guys did the marvelous, wonderful, fantastic, great movie you should all see about the stock market and about it's called Margin Call.
Oh, Margin Call is one of the best films. There's a lot of clips out there on YouTube.
The point is that we talked about how for the old timers, layoffs come and go, and every so often they go through a cycle.
We know it's coming.
But for new people, this is the first time, and they're shocked. Because remember, these are the people that got through all of the difficult hurdles to get a job in one of these prime companies. And they thought, man, now I've made it. Want to bet? Surprise.
Yeah.
So
it's so true. It's so true. And I just want to say hi to the people who make us work. Mary Mint is out there. And, of course, Juliet, all the way from the UK across the pond. Good to see you, dear. Lots of you folks. I just want to say thanks for being here tonight. I know we're going to get joined in progress courtesy of Pro. But I want to acknowledge you who are here.
Yeah, I can't get away from that guy. We went to the movies the other night. Tonight we had dinner, and here he is again. My God.
Well, he's look, I look at him like he's like one of my bosses. I have a lot of bosses. Most of them are the people who subscribe to my channel. But if you don't look at the world that way, you don't know who you're working for, or you're delusional and think you don't work for anybody but yourself. Boy, are you wrong. Boy, are you wrong. Every time.
Well, you have to satisfy the audience.
That's right. And speaking of which, we just got raided by the boss man himself. Pro Raid. That's right. Welcome to those of you who are watching the Pro Show. Avarice, Carmageddon, and of course, Caveat Ties, who sent me a book called Caveat Ties, which I'm going to hopefully be able to start reading this weekend. We got O2RR. Am I right? Out there in the audience, so welcome.
The Oxygen Railroad, no doubt.
I feel like we need one. But Kit Kat's here with a Kit Kat and everybody else that rolled in the door, including Tom, who I wish I was seeing this weekend, but I'm not, because I'm not going to be in Florida, which makes me sad. I was supposed to be there, but everything worked against me this year, guys. That's the first time.
I was joking with Lauren, who's going down there and going to sign autographs and everything, that I noticed that among the endless list of celebrities, past, present, and maybe future, who are going to be down there signing their name for a fee, Christopher Lambert, and you know how Lauren feels about the Highlander, and I thought you really should get one.
He really should. He should. But look, let's get to this. The layoffs are massive, and we'll reset this for everybody in the audience. We already talked about a talent agency laying off 30 people, which is 3% of their staff previously. We're talking about WME here. That's one of the first subjects of the layoffs happening in Hollywood, but it's broad. Axios already had mid-March layoffs, which, by the way, I think we're in the month of March. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, we are. The merry month of March.
That's right. Yeah, the Ides of March are showing up right now, and that includes Lionsgate.
Well, Brutus said he was ambitious, and Brutus was an honorable man, and so are they all honorable men. True
story. But Lionsgate's also going through a restructure because they separated from Stars. You remember that? That was last year.
Yeah.
And so things change, and this is the problem with change, guys. Things change. They have to figure out a way to bring salaries under control. They have to look at budgets. They have to look at like what's outlined in.
Don't you love the euphemisms? Look at there. CNBC announced a restructuring of its newsroom.
Oh yeah.
So what? They're going to get new drapes, or they're going to put in another gantry for lights? Or no,
it's people. They restructure people
exactly
inside of existing structures.
I wasn't fired. I was seasonally restructured.
I've been seasonally restructured before too, so I get it. But Lionsgate's done. Universal Music Group got Mercury Studios specifically took a hit. Blocks, CNBC, as you pointed out, KTLA, Nexstar Media is doing restructuring across the board. So you're going to see them a lot, whether they're here or not at the moment. But Netflix, product division, they recently excommunicated the Meghan Markles of the world.
Yeah. It's funny how, if you make a show and you spend a lot of money and nobody cares, you probably aren't going to be able to make that show very much longer.
But see, they invested in the faux royals brand and all the stuff that we're going to make profit with, right? So it's weird. But Washington Post, you remember WAPO? They dropped off a bunch of folks. And
speaking of Bezosphere, look at the next one. Amazon. 16,000 employees
in January. Yeah. And look, I'm going to say this. It's going to sound bad, guys, but it's the beginning. It's the beginning. A lot of people that got hired during the global crisis. There's my quotation marks.
There you go.
The global crisis. A lot of folks are not going to have those jobs anymore because they overhired for a time. They were delivering to an entirely captured group of humans. That stopped.
You mean people like actually leaving their house and going out and breathing the fresh air and not sitting in front of a screen all the time? I see.
Yeah, well, malls are making a comeback, but that's a whole other conversation. So they're not going to do it at the same price point. You see the price per square foot in California for renting space has dropped dramatically. Like you could rent a commercial building cheaper than you could rent a house.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
So I see lots of interesting things in the comments that people are.
We'll get to them, and I wanted to get to this first. So this is for you to read, my good friend.
Okay. Wonder what they'll do, how they'll respond when nothing goes right and continues the failure Iger started. Meaning Disney. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We'll get there.
When I was looking at the wonderful thumbnail for this week's show, and I saw that big picture of Josh and me down on the side looking a little skeptical, it reminded me of this famous joke that a wonderful comedian named Myron Cohen used to tell about the young Jewish stockbroker who had hit his success, and he buys a cabin cruiser. He buys a big boat.
Yeah.
And he's going to take Mama and Papa out on the boat for the first time from the old country,
Yeah.
And he's up there on the flying bridge. His wife and his mother are downstairs making sandwiches, and they're clearing the breakwater at Marina del Rey. And he's up there with his double-breasted yachting coat with the stripes on the sleeves and the ascot and the hat at the jaunty angle. And he turns to his father, and he says, "So, what do you think of your son now, Papa, huh? Am I a captain or am I a captain?" And his father looks at him, and this is me looking at Josh in that thumbnail. Son, he says, by your mother, you are captain. And by me, you're a captain. But by a captain, you're no captain.
Oh, wow. Well, it's true, though. And here's the weird thing. So right now, we're in the middle of a production season for Marvel that has no equal. AGBO, which is the Russo brothers production company, their studio.
15% of their workforce.
Isn't that insane? I look at this and I go, doomsday indeed. I mean, seriously, you're in the end game of this particular Marvel. You already had the movie. It was 3 years ago or more. And now you're having the actual end game of maybe Marvel, because I don't know that Doomsday is going to pull Marvel back from the brink. And look, these are the 2025 statements. Teen Vogue, you had Paramount, obviously, in the midst of layoffs before they got acquired. You had all of these things happening, right? Fifth Season, Disneyland had layoffs, Amazon, more layoffs. This is the problem with Amazon, right? They just go through them constantly. Access Hollywood. That was a bloodbath. Did you just see what happened? Yeah. I think I dropped a video on it.
Yeah, they're all. I love the idea that Teen Vogue. Wouldn't the average sort of countercultural teen nowadays think about Vogue or anything to do with it that, like, don't trust anybody over 30 or whatever? You know, I mean, Vogue seems so stodgily of the past to anybody now. I would think that I can't imagine that they do very much with that. So I don't know. It doesn't affect me,
but like shows that have been on the air, like Access Hollywood. Let's talk about that, because I did a video about this. They've been on the air over 30 years, or about around 30 years now. And Mario Lopez and everybody else that was on there, I forget the name, Kit something or another for the chick. And they've been talking to you in theaters and around the globe about what was going on in Hollywood forever. Except that now they're irrelevant in a way that I can't even describe. Then you have Lionsgate again. Number 2, we've mentioned it twice. It's year after year after year where layoffs at Lionsgate occurred. CNBC, same thing. They got spun off into a different venture called Versant. You remember that? Yeah. And along with PMS Now, right? So, and then PBS is Dog Duty, Anonymous. Of course,
but don't you love it as a result of Trump back cuts? So they're telling these people, yeah, you're out of work, you're fired, you're done, but it's not our fault. It's Orange Man's fault. You can blame him. No, and they will too, because they worked at PBS.
It's fine, but it is what it is, and let's just be honest about that. So Lifetime had layoffs, Hallmark had layoffs, Warner Brothers. This is not going to end at Warner Brothers. It's going to keep going for a while. Warner Brothers might be the center of the biggest amount of losses in studio history in the very near future, because the merger is going to cost jobs. Sorry. You have too much redundancy, especially in middle management. And you can save the most amount of money in middle management and upper level executive positions. Lou, who do you think is going to get gutted when Paramount takes control?
Well, see, it's interesting because one thing that jumped out at me this past week, or maybe the week before, was an open letter to the world from the Teamsters Union about this is a bad merger in Congress and the government shouldn't approve it because it's going to cost us jobs. Well, you know who's not going to cost jobs? It's the Teamsters. Because the Teamsters, there are a few Teamster people who are staff on the lots. And if the lots, shrink or turn one into a theme park or whatever, there'll be a few people. But Teamsters work on shows.
Yeah.
Ellison says, well, each studio is going to make 30 features or whatever. That's not a cutback for Teamsters.
No.
It's a boon for Teamsters.
It is.
So
yeah,
you have to be careful how much people are posturing, and how, just like the the Orange Man's fault that you got fired. It's all about posturing and positioning and playing games. And as far as Access Hollywood, they succeeded in their mission, which is to make Hollywood gossip and backstage stuff that was prepackaged and fake and phony, boring, and so people don't watch it or care anymore. So what about BET?
Sorry, yeah, BET. This was in 2025. I covered this on the 6 Minute Daily, many moons ago.
But just recently, what's his name? Tyler Perry or whoever it is who owns a big piece of that sold it to Paramount for $1 billion or something.
And
Paramount Plus is suddenly going to have 1,000 hours of BET programming on there by the end of the month. So some things they're doing slow, but some things they're really ramping up. So we shall see.
Look, you and I both know the truth. All this is being done in an effort to consolidate catalogs and take advantage of the existing content. Even the layoffs and cancellations of all these live talk shows we were just talking about over at a lot of these programming places like Universal. They have entire catalogs of complete garbage TV they can live off of for a long time.
Yeah. And every time we talk about this, I always have to say the fact that Disney ignored so much great television catalog from Fox never ceases to amaze me. I mean, golly.
I think they truly missed an opportunity, and you and I will always agree on that forever and ever. But I think what they didn't understand was that in streaming, it's the bingeable stuff, the things that people can watch 10 or 12 seasons of.
Yeah.
Is the most valuable. So, you know who really understood that? Netflix. They paid $1 billion a year for Friends.
Yeah.
Well, of course they did. It was the number one streaming product out there. It's the same reason why who owned Suits for so long? And the reason they owned it was the same reason.
I think it was Hulu, wasn't it?
I don't even know. But what I do know is that Suits owned forever by, or at least the licensing was owned forever by a streamer. And you look back at that and go, that's why they were number one. That's why people stayed with it. That's why they were a monthly subscriber. They earned that $1 billion, and more.
Yeah.
The more you have, and this is the other problem with canceling syndicated catalog material. It's hard to recreate. I mean, K&O Paper doesn't exist anymore, but they created a great series called The Mentalist, right?
Right.
And the group behind what was the Devil show? Fox did.
The name was it Constantine?
No. Well, Constantine was good, but yeah, it was Lucifer.
Lucifer, right?
Yeah, Lucifer lived on forever. It could have lived more. I can't remember. Was it Netflix that saved them? I think so. But it's like how do you not recognize the value? And Kanan, thank you, Kanan. Kanan Barnes says NBC Universal has Suits. And that's the difference. And yeah, it was Lucifer. And look, The Mentalist, CBS. I mean, and then go back and recognize that for a certain period of time in whether it be procedural television or similar concepts to procedurals, Jerry Bruckheimer owned it all. Whether it be in production for CBS or anybody else, his label was attached to everything from CSI to any similar programming. And that is bingeable content. And the producer's going to make money till they die. And the production company will then in turn make money, whoever's the trustee of that. But it's just, we're in a weird place where people misunderstand the value of programming. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and it's free. I mean, there's maybe a little residual hangover for created by and a few writers and a couple actors, but everybody else has been paid, is gone, the sets are done. All you do is throw a switch and there it is. And you don't have to pay anybody. So it's a great deal. And this stuff, some of this stuff is 10, 20, 30 years old.
Yeah. Well, think about it. The original Matlock is still a grabber, right?
Right.
People go looking for the original Mayberry. People want to see, Dick Van Dyke.
And then I saw somebody put up a post. They're going to do a live action remake of Scooby-Doo.
Doesn't
and
work.
I'm going, why?
Already did it.
Why? Yeah, anyway. There you go. Murder, She Wrote. People are mentioning in the chat. And anyway. Somebody in the chat asked me. Let me just jump it in here because it's They asked me what I thought about a redo of Have Gun Will Travel.
Oh.
And in fact, 35 years ago, I got pretty close to making that happen. And my idea after Silverado came out was that Danny Glover should be Paladin because he was a great cowboy in that thing. And I thought, you have a black Paladin in the Old West? That would be great. But, it didn't get very far. And here we are. And now he's too old and crazy. But it would have been great, wouldn't it?
It really would have. That's a brilliant idea, and of course I would expect no less.
One of the many brilliant ideas I had totally ignored by people. That was Rodney Dangerfield has that great line. He said, "My problem is I keep impressing people who could do me absolutely no good whatsoever."
True story. True story. And for those of you just joining us from the Pro Show, this is the Hollywood Backlot with Lou and You, which I get to host every Wednesday with one of the greatest people that I know, my friend Lou Wasserman's Ghost.
And, thank you very much, but that only shows you have a very small circle of people because there's greater people than me out there.
I disagree. Disagree.
Well,
your knowledge and your ability to be places, you've found every nook and cranny, just like I did. You fell into places you didn't belong, and you didn't realize it until you were
the difference that you and I have that most people, my boy, there are men and women out there with no less ability to fall into the cracks than you and I have. But there's one thing we've got they haven't got. We pay attention and we remember and we keep track and we figure it out.
We did. And I talk about like all the weird experiences that I had, the weird places that I enjoyed in my life, including Venice Beach and everywhere else in between, whether it be Malibu or Pacific Beach or any of the other places in SoCal that you could often find me haunting. I oftentimes talk about Anaheim as the city. That's how podunk SoCal was at the time, especially San Diego and most. Of San Diego
Anaheim, there was actually a mall called The City.
It's true. That's actually true.
Down the way from Disneyland.
And one of the greatest malls that I ever went to. In fact, one of my favorite Quicksilver stores was in the UTC, University Town Center. And again, those were haunts for me regularly. And especially after I was allowed to consume alcoholic beverages, there was a sports bar there that was world famous. Nobody would remember it anymore, but
I had such a good alcoholic beverage tonight.
Oh,
in fact, I had two of them.
Ooh.
I would have had three if I hadn't had to rush back here.
Do tell. What
well, it's called. They call it a Oaxacan Old Fashioned. So it's a reposado and a mezcal and agave and angostura.
That was the Oaxacan, the mezcal.
Yeah, right. And so it was smoky and orangey and bitter and sweet and God. Was that a
now
good drink.
that's a cocktail. One of my favorites is something so simple. It was actually in the first season of Blacklist, where Red's talking about the aviation cocktail.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, that is that's such a good drink. And again, I look, I'm not an advocate for alcohol. I'm really not. If it's not your bag, I get it. And look, I if I could abstain completely, I would, because it's far better for you to be somebody.
In my case, it's medicinal in a very real sense.
Yeah, well,
I have a stupid. I am so damn for my age. I have no cancer and I have no diabetes and I have no. But my heart got fixed, but I've got this stupid damn, totally incurable. You just control it with drugs condition, and it causes a relatively intense at times amount of pain.
Oh,
and you know what? Alcohol works better than all those things that you take for pain.
You know,
For me.
Willy Wonka said something magical. Candy is
only
dandy.
one thing. Yeah,
candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker. Anyway,
yeah,
look,
that
we're not
precedes
advocating.
Willy,
We're not advocating.
well, I'm just saying, I just don't happen to have. I've never had what you might call an addictive personality. You know, I could try things, find them interesting, see if they work for me, see if they don't, and move on. I don't feel obligated. I'm not looking for the next one. And the great phrase I remember, Alan Watts, the wonderful philosopher and interpreter of Eastern, he said the problem with the world is too many people are eating the menu instead of the dinner. They're always looking for the next thing and not dealing with the thing that's here and now. I always love that expression. And so I'm not, I don't do that. I deal with what it is right now. I'm not looking for the next drink or looking for the next anything. Yeah. The next big thing, right? No. Briscoe County Jr.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Briscoe. Oh, my gosh. So anyway, wow. Okay.
Well, I love that show.
You and I could go on forever about the great classics that a lot of people missed. But what's not happening is a great classic right now. The Disney company changed leadership and management. And this is why Josh was on the cover tonight. This is why this guy that I'm about to show you is the reason we're talking about a corporation that is now in different hands. And maybe sort of is a good way to put it. But it may be in more danger than it's ever been. And it didn't bounce back like you would expect from the brink today. In fact, it stayed under $100 a share. We're talking about Disney, and there's apparently tough love. I don't agree with that descriptive, but for new Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro as Wall Street frets over sluggish stock. Do you think this is an accurate depiction, my friend?
If Wall Street had been fretting over it, they would have done something long before this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not. These people think that it's just like we talked about last time, all the late night shows where they basically were willing to subsidize the message regardless of the profit. And, look, this guy, I know people who know him who say he's a swell guy. Is he the right guy compared to what was offered? Yes. Compared to what should have been, they should have gone outside entirely, in my opinion. But that's just me. Well, but my big complaint about him is he goes to the boys section at Saks to buy his clothes. He dresses like a cadet.
He dresses poorly, but my bigger problem with this is that Disney not only stopped the dividend for a period of time, their dividend is bologna sausage. It's 1.5% yield, and it's 38 cents per share. It's not
now
worth
if they were using the money they're not giving to the stockholders in dividends to do stuff smartly, you would say, well, okay, I'll cut them some slack on that. But when they do that and they spend $400 billion trillion on crap, someplace the rubber has to hit the road, as they say. And, anyway,
let's pick up with the article because they talk about this, saying that because they noted that the Disney stock has dramatically underperformed the market despite having one of the most valuable brand portfolios in the world, which means they control the most popular IPs. Why can't they take advantage of that, Lou? They own every dang thing from Fox to Disney catalog. That's two catalogs.
I once predicted that if they got enough families angry, because it seems like they go out of their way to do that in so many ways, that if all of those moms and dads out there who had a share of Disney stock hanging on the wall in their kid's bedroom cashed them in all at once, can we say plummet?
well, let's address that through this super chat because our friend Archer Merchant dropped this for you, Lou. Answer this one.
Doomsday would be a Barbenheimer 2.0. Who knows? Who knows what they think? Who knows if they think?
Well, okay, that's a bigger problem. And you and I both arrive at the same conclusion. I don't know that they have anybody there that thinks. When was the last time you think the flywheel was still spinning? When? When are they in front of what the public wants?
Golly, and it's a question of when you say they.
Well,
no, the reason I say that is they've acquired things that were going well, like Pixar, like Marvel,
like Star Wars, like
right.
Marvel,
and they've acquired those things, but they were being run by somebody else when they acquired them. And the first thing they did, it's like all these modern movies based on TV shows from my era, where they say, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a huge built-in audience of all these people who love that show. And the next thing we're going to do is get rid of the theme song, get rid of everything that made it good. And because, hey, it's old-fashioned, it's stodgy, and we're clever people.
But you realize there's an underlying, like, sinister motivation there. They're going to wear that IP as a skin suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. Like, we get the A-Team theme, but we make a very hollow A-Team movie.
But look, when you hire people based on their ethnicity or their politics, the idea that you should expect them to then suddenly turn into grown-ups and be interested in profits and in pleasing an audience is foolish. You hired people for something, you're going to have them do what they do. And so, anyway.
Well, and that's the problem, is they hired a lot of people that were unqualified for the job. And look, I'm gonna pop this back up on the screen because I want to talk about it. But look, Mr. Milk Toast, I just want to say Josh isn't prepared. He's got adversarial people that are a part of the structure in his team. He's got people that are very well informed that have like essentially extraction clauses built into their contract, like Hugh Johnston, who's well protected. Like if he were to be replaced before the end of his contract, it's a poison pill to get rid of the guy.
Look here. You want to know everything that's wrong with Disney?
Go ahead, please.
In the paragraph that the cursor's sitting on right now.
Yeah.
DeMauro touted box office numbers at today's annual meeting of shareholders. He delivered the first public remarks, noting Toy Story 5 coming in June, and Lilo and Stitch 2, and Incredibles 3. Here's the problem with all of those expected wonderful movies. The numbers. The actual numbers in the title. They don't look for something original. They just think if we just recycling the ones that used to work, and they try and do it with, hey, we can do it cheaper if we don't hire the same people who are smart.
Which is wrong.
Exactly. That was the one thing they did right with the Lilo and Stitch live action was get the actual Lilo and Stitch guy to do it.
Yeah.
But
and that's the problem, right? Is you have no John Lasseter. There's no real true quote unquote creative director. You just created a position at a CEO level for Dana Walden, and she doesn't have a creative bone in her body. She's been repurposing other people's stuff since she
and I have the ultimate solution for Disney or Paramount or Warner Brothers or anybody else. I'm not going to spew it out right here because, hey, I will be happy to share it free of upfront charge with any of those people on the condition that if they actually go for it, they got to give me a big check, or a piece of the action. But I've got a perfect solution, and it's not expensive either. So you know where to find me, everyone.
That's true.
But it's about generating new stuff. If you keep trying to live on the IP of old, it's just going to get older. And what did I say about Teen Vogue and teenagers today, about them thinking that's old people? Well, you know what? The people who are coming along now who never sat there when it first said in a galaxy far, far away, who never were there when a guy with a whip and a hat, who never,
I was there.
I was there. You were there. But I'm just saying the huge audience they're trying to get now has no visceral, emotional memory connection to these things.
There's no attachment to anything. You're 100% right. And here's the thing.
So giving them the same thing over and over again is literally beating a dead horse. That's all.
You're right, but here's the problem, and this is the thing. The original content and IP coming out of Disney is things like Strange Worlds. Guess what? I'm going to show you what Strange Worlds looks like from a business perspective, okay? It was original, just like Hoppers, which is complete bologna sausage, fabricated success. This thing was a domestic opening of $12.1 million in the U.S. That's it. Or North America, I should say, because we include Canada. We don't, for some reason, we don't include.
And it opened on
Mexico.
Thanksgiving, for God's sakes.
Yeah, it had an extended opening. This opened on November 23rd. And look, it only earned 37 million it earned 37 million domestic and 35 million worldwide, and it earned $73,621 on a massive budget. This film is the definition of failure and collapse. And I'm going to tell you right now, original IP for Disney, including Hoppers, is the definition of bologna sausage. I have had so much smoke blown up my patukas by this garbage that I am frankly tired of it.
When we went to see.
You dropped out, Lou. Are you still here?
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
When Pro and I went to see Hail Mary the other night.
Oh, it's an amazing film, and I'm going to go actually authentically review it tomorrow. So there will be.
What I was going to say was, in the theater, there's this huge poster advertising the Hoppers super package of crap. 2 drinks and 3 popcorns and 12 candies and 70. And I'm going. I was going to have popcorn anyway, and that's why I'm supposed to get excited about buying it all because the Hoppers are on it. That place we went was kind of. I walked in. I hadn't been to that theater before, and Pro had, but not in a long time. And I said, "It's called the Majestic." I can say a lot of things about this building, but Majestic is not one of them.
By the way, that's a classic film too. If you want to see a film, The Majestic.
Sure.
But let's. And this is the other problem: the diminution of the value of words. Descriptives, adjectives, and I'm getting frustrated with the way they're tossed around so casually.
This is something I'm going to do in the next day or two. I'm going to be doing this on the
Patreon.
Good. But the other day, I poured out the last of my Ocean Spray grapefruit juice. Now, I saved the empty bottle because
I like them.
I want you to hear what the label says.
Okay.
We believe in boundless fruit power. Crisp, refreshing, fruitful, with 100% juice and no sugar added, packed with mouth-puckering goodness, where street meets tart refreshment. Born tart, raised bold. What do you suppose they paid the copywriter to write that?
I don't know, a lot of money, because that's brilliant.
And I'm the only one who read it. Everybody else drank the juice and threw the bottle away, and to hell with it. But I'm going, what are they selling? There's nothing in there that tells me anything. Okay, there's no sugar in it, but I knew that because I looked at the ingredients, and they have to tell me that. But one cup of fruit in every... They didn't
add sugar is what?
Yeah, no sugar added, exactly. Yeah. But it's an excellent source of vitamin C. God, I wouldn't think of that about citrus drinks, wouldn't I? And all I'm saying is, you talk about words and the diminution of the language by just blabber overkill like that. Yeah. I forget. Did I tell you about the seaweed snacks?
Yeah, first of all, you fight me on seaweed. Like, I will eat a slice at a time.
Okay.
The dried seaweed stuff.
All right. I am not a seaweed person. Never have been.
It's fine. It's fine.
And that's fine.
And
here's the thing. I was shopping, online at the online grocery store where they deliver and everything. And here under the snack section were some seaweed snacks. And what they are is little 2-inch squares of seaweed that are crispy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Yeah. They come in 2 flavors. Are you ready for this? One of the flavors is sea salt flavor.
All right.
Now, when it says flavor, that is legally telling you it's not really sea salt. It's some chemical that tastes like it. So they're putting sea salt flavoring on their all-natural seaweed snack to make it taste like sea salt. And I'm going, oh, God. What a world! What a world! What a world!
Some kind of benzoate. So
Yeah, there we go. Some benzoate. Good old Ben.
Well, or it's a
wasn't that Spider-Man's uncle?
It is. It's not monosodium glutamate. That's a whole other conversation. But look, Archer sent us a thing. Can you read this $2 one?
I have IMAX for P. Hail Mary tomorrow evening too. You're going to love it, Archer. I mean, it's not perfect. It's 20 minutes too long, like every other movie released in the last 5 years. But
but
it's
for sci-fi,
good.
Yeah, for sci-fi, and first of all, it from every look, I talk to people, and again, the book is brilliant, but
I saw an interview with Gosling. He said they sent him the book and said, read it this weekend. And it's 500 and some odd pages. But
he did. I promise you, because you can't put it down. You can't put it down. And so everybody I've talked to read the book. And by the way, do you know who put me on this?
No idea.
Gary Nerdrotic put me on this a long time ago, like more than a year ago. We were talking about this. He said, this is coming. He said, it's Ryan Gosling. And I was like, okay. And Gary's plugged in. Like, I don't care what anybody says or whatever, but he's plugged in.
I don't know what anybody says, but
well, I mean, look, a lot of people discount us because we're on YouTube, and I'm like, a lot of us know other people. You don't understand. I'm like we talk to other humans out there.
We have what we laughingly call real lives.
I talk to production assistants on stuff. I mean, I know guys that do lighting. I know people that are in the units. I know these people. It's like, come on now. So it's just like, it was just weird. So like, I knew this was coming, and I knew to look out for it. And so I'm just going to say I'm very excited. I was titillated by what I saw in the teaser. That's a long time ago. So when I see the full film, and I'm going to say it that way specifically because I've seen some things, when I see the full film, which it will be on, tomorrow afternoon. I'm not even seeing it in the evening like a lot of people are. I will see it, and I will come immediately and sit in this chair and review it, and then I'll drop the video right away.
The saving grace is it's got wit.
It's funny. And it's heartwarming. You guys, if you read the book, you're going to be like, like I got, okay, so tell me if you felt the same way. This is Enemy Mine for a different generation.
It's funny. I've seen lots of people compare the two, and that's true.
Oh, really?
But what it also is for me, and I am the last thing but a Ryan Gosling fan. I just, he drives me, really. But in this, he's excellent.
Did you see Fall Guy? Because I thought that was that was the lowest rated enjoyment film I've had in a long time. I had a really good time.
But what I'm going to say, he is in this movie. He's doing the same thing that Roy Scheider did so brilliantly in 2010.
Oh yeah,
he is the audience trying to say, "Hey, what the hell's going on here? Explain it to me in words of few syllables."
Trying to keep up. Yeah.
He's us trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and in the process, of course,
and that's the book.
Problems.
And that's the book. That's the book. It's the same thing. And again, it's from the same guy, Weir, that wrote the book that they adapted to The Martian.
Right.
So and I'm going to talk about all of this in the video I'm going to drop tomorrow because the
woman who plays the German scientist lady who's running the project. Yeah. She's brilliant too. Just plain brilliant.
I look, I've seen so many clips. I'm not going to break any confidence.
Anyway, it's worth your 2.5 hours and your $15 or whatever it is, and get some popcorn and have some fun.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I'm with Donovan Bradford on this. I enjoyed both films because I'm a huge Kubrick fan. Kubrick may have been like one of the last geniuses in Hollywood because he understand everything from the shot list to the cinematography to sound. The guy understood what made films great.
And he was the last guy until now, Nolan, who did most everything in practical sets.
He also, and he did it himself. Like the guy would actually take the camera in his hands and shoot the scene.
I laughed about that with Barry Lyndon because with all those scenes that were just lit with candles.
Yeah.
Kubrick grinds his own lenses and he's his own operator. And I'm going, what did the guy credited as the cinematographer do? Go around and light the candles?
Guys, well, and again, it's like you look at the lens manufacturers nowadays and you go, something's off there. But again, let's talk about, okay, so before we get into the next part of the Disney saga, I just want to say lighting is different now, guys. And this is the difference. And if this is the kind of conversation you want to focus on, this is the perfect show for you. Lighting is different now. Lighting changed. Lighting changed, especially outdoors for night scenes for cinematographers, because we had sodium bulbs back in the day.
Yeah.
And this is why the 70s and 80s looks entirely different than what we shoot now. Now you either have a yellow hue that is out of place, or you have an LED hue that's far too bright for the circumstance and situation. It doesn't allow for color. Right? Sodium bulbs allowed for the color, but also for like a slightly different tinge. It changed the mood of the scene, but it didn't change the color timing. Right. Whereas now, color timing is messed up, right, Lou?
Compared to those days, yeah, because frankly, they've lost a lot of people who knew how to make it happen. So,
sodium
they're
vapor.
not around anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an entirely different way to shoot a film. I mean, look, if you went to film school, wow, I'm old. If you went to film school,
I went to film school,
I knew that was coming. A little bit of Fiddler for you guys, but no, it's just if you did, you understood that there was a different way to approach lighting. And you understood all the different kinds of lighting setups and the gels and what gels did. And this is why Disneyland of the past is different than Disney of the future or the current, because they don't light the attractions like movie sets like they used to. And this is why the BS they replaced Splash Mountain with is not anywhere reminiscent of
I read one of these insanely awful Pixie Duster articles the other day.
Oh, no.
That went on for what would be the equivalent of 20 pages. To tell you why they were taking out 3D in places like Remy and everything else. And to tell you why, because it's better. Because you don't have those stupid glasses between you and the action.
That's something.
And of course it's not true. But this and with the new screens, they're so much sharper. And I'm going, like in Tiana when they're never on, right? When they don't work. But the whole thing is they don't want to spend the money on the damn glasses. To be honest about it. That's all.
Well, look, and I'm going to tell you right now, you can talk to me about the virtues of laser projection all you want to. The question is does it look right? And
and anyway, but the excuses that they make for what is a financial, strictly bottom line decision.
And this is true. This is 100% true. And thank you, Karen Owen. Projection changed from carbon to xenon bulbs, and that's exactly true. The level of brightness and the strength of the bulb changed what is projected on the silver refractive.
Karen, screen. I actually own a Bell & Howell 16 millimeter carbon arc projector for theaters. And I bought it at the Rose Bowl swap meet a million years ago. And it'll throw an image 210 feet across if you've got that many feet to throw it across. Wow. And those were the days.
Yeah, but the bulbs are $1 billion now.
Well, it isn't, but this is a carbon rod that you put on this thing, and it's got a wind-up gizmo, and it slowly shoves it into the ignition point, But well, of course everything is expensive.
It's getting worse. So let's finish up because I want to
I didn't want to. I'm sorry.
No. It's fine. You and I easily get distracted and diverted and tangented.
I want one last thing in the chat. Donovan Bradford said I like 2010 better than 2001 because it had more story to it. Yeah. By the way, speaking of images and movies, do you know that Peter Hyams, who directed 2010 and a lot of other good movies, he does his storyboards in oil paint. He's a painter. Now, if you can imagine that, it tells you why his movies look so good.
Hey, do you know why Lucas, like the difference in Star Wars, the original, was so different than everything else? Is the mats. Yeah. The mats were physical. They were painted.
Yes.
What you were looking at was a piece of art that everything was shot on. It's just ridiculous.
The
So
famous
anyway,
glass shot. Anyway, let's go on.
Well, and then again, Disney lost the ability to do a technology called multiplanar camera.
Yeah.
Which is why animation doesn't look right anymore. Anyway, well, let's get to this because this is important. Again, we're not done on Disney because they need to have their teeth bashed. Well, okay, that's a little strong.
Oh,
they need to be corrected.
They need to stop. Wait, they need to stop the self-inflicted Novocaine because they've had their teeth bashed. They just didn't notice because they were high on life, man.
Oh, it's true. And look, I mean, here's what Disney's new CEO Josh D'Amaro told employees on his first day. I think he told them, everything sucks. You suck, and everything's going to suck in the future. The stock didn't go up today, Lou.
Yeah.
It didn't go up today, and we're going to look at that in full view of the audience in just a moment. But he said in a Memo's employee on his first day, he said the former Disney parks head said he was humbled and honored to help write the next chapter of the Disney company. And he made his first proclamation to the Disney employees as CEO. The newly minted CEO took the baton on Wednesday from longtime weatherman Bob Iger, who served 2 stints as the destructor of the House of Mouse after his previous successor was forced out. See, they say flamed out. He was forced out by politics, kids. He wasn't going to adhere to the leftist politics. So it says, as I step into the CEO role today, I am humbled and honored to help and write the next chapter of this company alongside with this team. Now, I added a word there because they are very poor writers, by the way. D'Amaro told employees in a Wednesday memo, which was obtained by
obtained. Did they make it like they stuck it out of the Kremlin?
It was a PR wire
of course,
drop. Everybody got it.
Of course.
Yeah. So I have it, you freaking freak shows. Anyway, in this message to Disney staffers, also known as cast members, what a bunch of douches, says, great storytelling and creative excellence, which involves taking smart risks and learning quickly, which Disney hasn't done since 1998.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, between 98 and 2013, it was a successive acceleration of bad ideas, which got us to the NGE program and magic bands and every bad idea that followed that took advantage of the consumer but offered no value. In fact, it detracted from value. It's an entirely other conversation, but they embrace technology to help us create more immersive, interactive, and personal ways for people to experience Disney. Lou, translate business to human language there.
Help us create more immersive, interactive. Yeah, they're a technology company, right?
No, they're a wannabe technology company.
Well, but they have walk around robots that last for an hour or 15 minutes or whatever the traffic will bear. So they're a technology company. See, now look, think about that for a minute.
Okay.
Even if it was true, isn't saying we're a technology company not just one of those grotty little entertainment companies? You're dissing yourself and your entire history by saying that, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
it's like that's not good enough. It's not good enough to be the company that entertained the world for 50, 100 years and brought joy to billions. That's not good enough.
It's worse, Lou, because think about the fact that technology companies have been trying to become entertainment companies in the same way that sports stars have been trying to become actors for a very long time.
I'm going to suggest everybody go out and find a classic movie that somebody at Disney, maybe Josh, should watch. It's called Sullivan's Travels. Preston Sturges, Joel McRae, Veronica Lake. And it's about a director who makes comedies.
Yeah.
And he's very successful. And he has this urge inside him that says, yeah, but I should be doing something serious and profound instead of just entertaining people. And he winds up going out to meet the people on the road, and he pretends to be a hobo, and he gets on a train. And the problem is somebody mugs him. He winds up in the South. He winds up on a chain gang. He's in jail, and it's a terrible life, and he's just totally disgusted. But they take him on Sunday for the one day of the week. They take him to a little local one-room church, and what do they show? A Mickey Mouse cartoon.
There you go.
And everybody laughs, and he looks around and he realizes that he's been like totally wrong about the value of what he was doing.
And that's the problem here, because
Sullivan's Travels. Go watch it.
Yeah, watch it. And look, he's talking about this. This is his message. Operate as one Disney, which he said means aligning teams and working together.
Notice the O in one is capitalized. Where's the trademark symbol?
I honestly don't care. What I care about is the fact that he could not be more completely wrong if he tried. He says prioritizing, that was a way to pronounce that word. Prioritizing interactive content is a complete no-brainer, since younger generations want to experience content more deeply.
Yeah, sure they do, but they watch epic motion pictures on a 1-inch screen on their phone.
Well, and that's the thing. Do you realize stepping into a theater is one of the most immersive places you can go? Do you know where the second most is? Theme parks. And they don't even bother anymore. So back in the 90s, Lou, I know this is true because you lived in SoCal and understand the fact that I'm going to talk about a little film called Tron.
Yeah.
Disney made a film called Tron. And they so incorporated Tron at the time into the surrounding areas that when you went on the People Mover, which still existed back then,
right,
in Disneyland Park, you could ride through Tron, which gave you light cycles and they were destroyers or whatever those weird.
And they blew fans at you to give you the sense that you're going
and they
fast.
created an immersive experience in a tunnel environment that Universal went on later to copy
for about 4 different rides that I can think of. I mean,
and you know what? It sold you on the illusion that you were traveling through the world of Tron, and that disappeared. Disney innovated something, and they decided, nah, we're not doing that anymore.
And meanwhile, although I haven't been on the People Mover in forever, I think it was, I'm trying to think what holiday it was, but Lorena Creole was on the People Mover with a live broadcast, and when she was inside the tunnels around Space Mountain, the ride stopped, the lights came on, and what you saw on the ceiling was bird shit. And I went, oh, that's how much they care about that, don't they? That nobody goes through and cleans the bat shit or bird shit or whatever it was off the ceiling in the tunnel. I mean, the contempt for the audience.
Well, maintenance has definitely gone downhill there, but it's a different conversation, and it's not one that I think Josh is ready to have. So let's pop back into the article again.
Okay,
this is Business Insider. This tells you an awful lot. So when we look at this, it says, in this new world, you really need to take down those velvet ropes and let them onto the red carpet.
Of course, there's a problem with that statement. The red carpet, that's that thing outside the Oscars that nobody watches.
Well, but you know, they want to pretend.
I mean,
I
get the theory, but
no, they want to pretend they treat everybody like a VIP. But Disney prices everything like there are different levels of ability in their parks and in their experiences. Look, in their hotels, I get it. Sometimes you want a 5-star experiences. Sometimes you just want a 3. Sometimes you just want to be in the bubble, the opportunity, and the experience. And that's where Disney used to live. They don't do that anymore.
Nope.
And they don't do it in their films anymore either. They relegate one good Pixar film a year, and the other ones are just like also rants. Like, you know what? This could be on Disney Minus, but we need another theater release. And same thing with everything else that they do. They get one good thing a year, but they try to sell you 5. You think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right?
I think you're right, but the question is, who there is judging which one gets the big screen? And the answer is the same people that made all the ones that don't deserve it. So how good is their judgment?
Not good. All right. And this all comes down to one thing, and then we're going to start to wrap up because you and I have been going a little longer than we normally do.
Well, that's me. I digress.
No. You and I are both digressing tonight. We're talking about what used to be rather than what is currently. And you know what? I'm good with that. I don't mind running long. The audience is enjoying it. That's the most important thing.
Mr. Milktoast says you've not lived until you've watched Ben-Hur on a smartwatch. Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. Look, Milk Toast has been spot on for the whole night, and I appreciate it. Look, nothing went well today in the stock market, so I'm not going to pretend. But when you look at what Disney's done, it's downright disappointing. On a day when they talked about earnings and a transition in leadership and all the opportunities in the future, they still went. Wait, this is the wrong thing. Sorry, that's my fault. They still went down. And you know what? That is terrifying to people like me. When we look at what the actual numbers are on the regular, we look at numbers like this. They're still under $100, Lou.
And what I have said over and over is whether they're these major mega holding company funds or whether they're Joe Blow, your stockbroker down at the local, stock shop, the point at which Disney's failures color the personal credibility of the person selling the stock to his customers is the point at which this whole charade goes to pieces.
It does. But look, if you look at S&P futures, they're up. Dow futures, it's up. NASDAQ futures, it's up. Russell 2000 futures, it's up.
And if I'm Joe America and I've got 500 shares of Disney through my local broker that also has my funds and whatever, and I call him up and I say, so tell me something. If the S&P is up and the Dow is up and the NASDAQ is up and the Russell's up and everything's up, why am I still in this stupid company?
They can't explain it. Look, how Disney is still considered a blue chip makes no sense to me, and I've been trading for my entire life.
I don't know why the hell it's still the entertainment representative in the Dow, for God's sake.
It shouldn't be. And when I look at these numbers, look, like everybody else went up. Everything was down earlier today. I don't know if you guys paid attention to the market. I mean, before we got
wait. We don't give financial advice.
No financial advice here.
Just watching and looking and drawing some human being conclusions.
We pay attention. And look, we're just talking about the NYSE, U.S. market specifically, and futures, not where things traded at the end of the day, but futures. In the future, overnight, Disney still went down 4 more cents per share.
Yeah.
So look,
which means people who were hanging on to see what this new guy was going to say, to see if maybe there was a reason to stick around, said, nope.
And here's the problem with institutional ownership of corporations like this. They have outmeasured influence in order to change the culture and in order to influence the culture in our country and around the globe. But they don't represent the interests of the company nor their profitability, just on their ability to exercise pressure in areas that influence material that is produced. And that has been the downfall of companies like Disney and many others. They're not the only one. But
Barry the Music Man in the chat says, never give people that hate you your money. I'll adopt that as an adage. Absolutely.
It's so true. And Caveat Ties out there says this.
Sunk cost fallacy. Story of a Disney stockholder.
True.
And then the guy I just mentioned, Barry, gave us a 99 center here too. And thank you, Barry.
Yeah, he shot us a super sticker. Thank you, Barry. Look, I pay attention to all this stuff, and you guys know it because if you follow me or if you follow Lou, we talk about the financial aspects of the business. That's kind of what my channel is all about: is Hollywood and entertainment and everything we consume on the daily, even news, needs to be observed from the point of does this work? And
the only measure is, does it give us more money to make more stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, look, guys.
You're right.
The bottom line is that what we sell in the entertainment universe, and I include in that stage, the screen, the big screen, the little screen, magazines, newspapers, whatever. We sell eyes and ears and attention span.
Yeah.
In some cases, we charge you a ticket. In some cases, we make you watch an ad. In some cases, it's free, but it's not free because you're going to get ads some other kind of way. It doesn't matter. And if you're not watching, we're doing something wrong.
Right.
Either we may be making the greatest thing in the world and don't know how to reach you and sell it to you. That might be it. We may be great marketers, and when you tune in after all that great marketing, you're disappointed because it's not what you were sold. There's lots of reasons. But the idea that there's this wonderful world of fantasy and creativity, and then there's that evil business stuff, and who cares about that, is just insane. And nobody in the history of the business, not Walt Disney, not Louis B. Mayer, not Charlie Chaplin, nobody ever confused that was the point until now.
Yeah, well, and CB couldn't even do it through every effort he made. But
look, CB, one of the things about CB, he had this huge research department when he did these historical dramas, and he wanted to get everything right. But the Vestal Virgins in one of his classics, they put in skimpy costumes. The real ones wore sackcloth. And when his assistants asked him, he says, because we're selling tickets and people want to see girls.
That's right. It's all of that's true. But and they recognized the value of business. And business is something that Disney doesn't do anymore. And nobody does in Hollywood. And they need to. Look, I'll stay here forever. And I appreciate everybody's time. For the 228, 230 of you that are here right now, I want to say thank you. Yeah. Tomorrow morning, I do something called the 6 Minute Daily. And we're going to talk about at least 2 of the stories we covered tonight, amongst many, many other things. In fact, 17 stories tomorrow, including
he does 17 stories in 6 minutes, and it works. If you've never seen the 6 Minute Daily, you should have, and you will, and you hopefully will keep watching it.
It's true. And so if you follow me on the Culture Casino channel, I would appreciate it. But you need to follow this man more. You need to check out and pay for his Patreon. The insight that he offers is something that I consider most valuable and almost equally valuable to his friendship. And I can't wait to spend additional time with him this spring as we travel across the country to acquire the land that will make the dreams come true for not just us, but for everybody else in our lives and for people who want to be creative in the future.
We have plans.
We do.
And I think you better name whatever the street that it's on Hyperion.
No. I want it to be successful and not
because the street names out here are kind of strange. I mean, there's Bourbon Boulevard and Bacon Lane, and
I'm okay with any of that, but not related to a failed Star Wars hotel. Okay?
Oh no, not a hotel. A couple of guys from the Midwest who came out to Hollywood and built a studio,
and they did.
And now it's a Gilson supermarket. So go figure.
Yeah, well, and one of the studios that Paramount may acquire is going to be a theme park. Oh my goodness!
Well,
let's talk about converted land and theme parks in the next episode. How about
that? All right. Or anything else? I'm open. And just so people realize, I walk into this cold. He doesn't give me all that we're going to talk about. This. But my request, I just want to.
Well,
spontaneously bounce.
I like some things that were something else is going to maybe be the theme of the next episode. Things that were something. You and I would know a lot about that in California.
Things that were something else.
Oh, there were a lot of things that were something else back in the day. But on that note, check out.
Barry the Music Man gave us $2, which is
nice.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay. Well, here, can you read it? I can't read it.
It's hail to 5th and ZL Zack Snyder cut an epic IMHO. There, I read it.
In my humble opinion.
Yes, I knew that. But
I'm going to tell you right now, the Snyder cut for a couple of things might be interesting. I'll just say that. I feel like oftentimes the studio involved. Wait, I can't say this in a vacuum because you're going to have to comment. I feel like oftentimes when studios interfere with things, hear the trigger word, interfere, we end up with something that was not intended by the original creator.
Well, studios and networks, there is this great little book that if you look around, you'll find it. And the title is the anecdote I'm going to give. And it's a whole collection of memos sent from studios and censors to creatives at television shows. And the title is from an episode of My Favorite Martian, Ray Walston.
Yeah, it was such a good show.
And they read the script and they sent the following memo. A Martian wouldn't say that.
How would you know?
Well, that's what they sent. So if they can do that, they can do anything. Anyway, it's a fun book. Go look for it. But
and I want to say thank you to the very lovely Juliet, who moderates us all the way from the UK with a pound sterling, which is proper money. If you know what a pound sterling
is. Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. By the way, the finery, is that the right way to say it? So the amount of fines that are going to be leveled against the BBC if the case isn't dismissed from the US is going to look rough. It's going to be bad. Anyway, we went long.
It's not their money. It's the people's money.
I feel bad for the British citizens. But again, your government is led by Starmer, who is essentially a scumbag. So regardless, Lou, anything else you want to add to the fact that you should be subscribed to on your Patreon?
Oh, well, that and, we do the genre guys, Lauren and Hangry and I. Yeah. And we just did. Well, I mentioned Margin Call.
I saw it. I was like, yeah.
But also we did The Outfit, which is a neat little movie with Mark Rylance and The Outfit being the mob. In this case, the Irish mob instead of the Italian mob. And we have many, 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 many more to do.
Look, and I'm going to just say this. They have a catalog. If you become a member of, that's either the Pro or that
Pro channel. Place. And then that Park Place, they come to a few months later.
Yeah. So like you get fed material, and I'm just going to say it's good eating.
So a lot of you, there's so many generous people who are giving away 5, 10, 50 memberships on the Pro channel, on the Pro show. One of the goodies you get when you get that is the access to the entire oeuvre of the genre guys. So go look around. You'll find stuff.
All right. I'm going to say this. Okay. And you're my witness right now, Lou. You ready?
Yeah.
At $75K, I might, for the right price, do the man bun challenge. I have a lot of hair. It could work. It would be weird because I've never done anything like overtly feminine. I haven't even dressed in a dress.
I'm not so sure about some of that bear dancing. It has a sort of
no. Like I did the full Monty at a Club Med one time.
Oh.
I did. It's the truth. I am telling the truth.
Oh, I know one more reason I never went to a Club Med. But anyway,
it was great.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Let's see.
What was their other brand? They had one brand that was adults and one was families. And
I don't know, but I was 19, 20, somewhere in there, just before we got married.
God.
Yeah. Now the boss and I went to a Club Med, and
where? Which one?
I'm not going to tell you. It was a sports club.
I mean, Caribbean or Mexico or
Mexico.
You know. Okay.
I spent an inordinate amount of time doing nothing but activities, volleyball, rugby, all the things that I was very good at. And then because of I was always a performer, as you know. And I decided to participate in the quote unquote talent evening, which you do once a week, every week. We finished off 17 bottles of wine one night. That's a whole other conversation. But the one of the things all the guys did that were a part of this particular production was the full Monty. If you've ever seen the film,
Yeah.
We were not facing the audience with the full frontal thing, but they got a decent dangly bits observation. I'm just gonna say. So anyway,
TMI.
I'm just saying, no. We had a lot of fun, and for those of you out there, that might have been the least religious thing I ever did in my life. But beyond all of that.
What do you mean the least religious? If you got a fig leaf, you're no different than Adam.
I don't believe I had a fig leaf, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Nobody got to see the front bits, but I had a good time. Regardless, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go to bed.
I'm embarrassing myself and Lou, which is bad.
Well, that's a great one of the Python bits. That's a spoof of Shakespeare, and it ends with the rhyming couplet, and he says, "So let's to bed and sleep off all the nonsense I've just said." So that works.
All right. Sounds fair. And on that note, good night, gentlemen, ladies, and all of the ships at sea. I want to say thank you to my friend Lou for allowing me to host tonight's events and do so.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, I did it so poorly. See you guys next Wednesday. Bye.